Would you like a coffee?
I would love one, thank you very much.
I'm Michael, nice to meet you. Michael, nice to meet you. Michael. Hope you guys enjoy our presentation. Michael, nice to Anyone knock that one?
Everyone have a handout? Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole,
I'm Logan. Michael.
and we're going to be discussing the fallout of Uber as a result of some of its recent scandals. So on the itinerary for today, we're going to start with a timeline of what's happening in their company, and we're going to evaluate their company values before and after some of these scandals. We're going to talk about a person that was very big in their sexual harassment scandal, and that was Susan Fowler. We're talking about their 180-day campaign, as long as some of the media coverage it's gotten, and the impact of these scandals on their reputation and financially, as well as our group narrative, and then we're going to go to a question and answer portion.
So to start out, we're going to talk about a timeline of Uber's fallout. These are the main events that unfolded starting with Susan Fowler. You guys have a more detailed timeline for the handout. So on February 19, 2017, Susan Fowler detailed her experience of sexual assault in Uber's corporate headquarters. And that really started a huge chain of events for Uber internally. They hired former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, who's pictured down below, and Tammy Alburn to help with claims and really investigate internally what happened. And after that, really between February and June, there were over 200 instances that were reported of sexual assault within Uber. And in June 6, 2017, Uber fired 20 employees after a workplace culture investigation. On June 14, 2017, CEO Travis Kalanick took an indefinite leave of absence from Uber. And on June 20, 2017, Uber launched a 180-day change campaign that really focused on higher wages for Uber's drivers and making driving more convenient for them. And then on June 21st, 2017, CEO Travis Kalanick was forced to resign after several investors demanded him step down. This slide really shows Uber's company values pre-scandal and post-scandal. Some of the pre-scandal values really posted red flags internally for the company, such as values like always be hustling, confrontation, and making bold bets. Whereas the new post-scandal values really focus on the company together as a whole, such as we build globally and live locally, we are customer obsessed, we celebrate differences, we do the right thing, we act like owners. So this really shows how Uber is trying to turn around internally internally. So Susan Fowler really kicked off the whole sexual assault allegations with her blog post. She joined Uber in November 2015, and after a couple weeks with the company, she started receiving inappropriate texts from her manager. She then reported that to HR, and HR said based on the employee that was sexually assaulting her, based on his performance and that he was claimed that he didn't have any other allegations, the best that they could do is issue the manager a warning. And after that, Susan Fowler was given the option to either stay with her team or move teams, and then she decided to switch teams within the company. Uber is facing a criminal investigation from the Department of Justice for their use of the software Greywall, which is a software system that avoids transportation regulators and other government employees. And this has been used in cities like Boston, Las Vegas, New York, and London. Uber, after all the allegations, they issued a 180-day change campaign, which is focused on their employees and specifically the drivers. Tipping was put in place in August 2017, and this basically allows riders to tip their driver, and then also drivers are getting paid more during wait time, and then in the bottom right, the pickups being upgraded and the ratings, that really helps the convenience for the drivers. And Nicole will talk about the media highlights.
Okay, so there have been this scandal from Uber has been widely covered. Some of the big news sources that have posted articles about it are Business Insider, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, and those are just a few. When I searched in Uber scandal just into Elon's library, I got 208 articles that came up, and that was just within 2017 alone. So that's kind of a lot for a university library to post about just one company. And some of those articles read Uber fail and Uber scandal highlights what's wrong with Silicon Valley, none that are very positive. What really kickstarted all of this was in February 2017, Susan Fowler wrote a blog that really highlighted the issues about sexual harassment with Uber, and this had been going on for a while. It was just, there were like a lot of complaints about it within the company, but she was the first one that like really brought it to like the media's attention, and that was pretty important. And just a month after that, in March, Uber had released, or it was released that Uber was using Greylaw, the Ride Discrimination Act, and then in June 2017 that Uber was fired, and these are just some of the excerpts that I found on the popular news sources so in June 17 that Uber had fired 20 employees, and then October, this isn't pictured, but then Uber was accused of using the Google self-driving or stealing trade secrets from Google self-driving sector. And then in November 2017, it was released that Uber had a hacking that what occurred in October of 2016, so over a year ago. And that was something very big for Uber right now. They're facing lawsuits on that, so that's being widely covered right now. So as you can see, there has been extensive coverage in the media on Uber. It's going through a lot of issues, and this is just within the past year. It all really started in February for the company. Next, I'm going to discuss Uber's changing reputation. So in May of 2017, which is on the graph, Statistica sent a survey to 150 people asking about their changing perception of Uber. And what you can see is that there is a 50% of respondents were unhappy or neutral with Uber, which was a 26% change from before the scandal, and 26% positive perception. There was a drop in positive perception. However, only 4% of respondents have switched to other ride hailing services like Lyft. It's important to realize though that this study was done in May of 2017. So that was before they were accused of stealing trade secrets and the hacking had come out. So these numbers are probably a little different today, and if anything, I would believe that they're probably worse for the company. So next, Mike and I are going to talk about the changing of the CEOs.
Yes, so as you know, the company does not have the best reputation. So initially with their founder and CEO, Travis Kalanick, he founded Uber and 2 other tech startup companies, so he's a very bright man in the Silicon Valley industry. But he's unprofessional, he lacks the proper qualities of a leader and a CEO, someone who should be setting the tone of the company. So as a result, the board of advisors has now brought in Dara Khosrowshahi. I did butcher that, excuse me, but he's known for managing companies, not starting them. He's been the CEO of, I believe this is his third company now, and he describes his mentality of operating as professional management. He did come from Iran, he was born in Iran, and he believes in the American dream 100%. He said it's the best way out there. He says he still believes in the company, and it's just a matter of getting their priorities in line and just putting all the effort they need out there. And then finally, his role with Expedia. Expedia, after he left the company, released a statement saying, "Thank you, everything you've done for us." And they described him as a relentless entrepreneur, and he's very well skilled in the area of expansions and mergers. So that's something we could look forward to with Uber, possibly. And then,
So under Travis Kalanick, the company's reputation wasn't a good one. He appeared more, it was said that he appeared more like a frat president than a business professional, and you can see this through he sent a very unprofessional email during a Miami conference years back, and he just, when you represent a company, you need to put your best foot forward, and we talked about that during class, but he didn't appear to do that, so he really wasn't representing the company well, and it was giving it a bad name. Along with that, under his supervision, it gave Uber a reputation that they can't accept blame and accountability. They were accused of using gray ball and denied it, even though that there was video proof of it, along with just the way they handled the sexual harassment scandal. They telling the women that were making the reports, it's a lot of courage to do that, that they either should just deal with it or switch teams, that they really can't do much, was just super unprofessional, and I would never want to be treated that way. And it also shows that they really did have a low regard for their employees. The fact that they were basically just being told to sweep it all under the rug. And they were also underpaying their Uber drivers, which they vowed to change under the new CEO, Dara Kawash. Yeah, I also butchered that. But he definitely is going to do a lot for Uber's reputation. He has come forward, he's very vulnerable, and he's ready to take accountability for Uber's issues because, let's be honest, there's a lot of them. And it's just a refreshing outlook for Uber. He also has taken a vow to make the workforce more diverse and collaborative. Under Kalanick, it was more of a competitive workforce. Yeah. The performance reviews for the employees were ranked rather than highlighting on things they did well and didn't that they can improve upon. But he switched that. He's come up with the 180-day change. He's, in my opinion, is going to do a lot for the company's reputation. It's not going to be shown immediately because he's new, but going forward, I think it's definitely better for Uber.
There's also been a lot of cost to Uber through this scandal. Uber has committed $5 million to funding several organizations that focus on preventing sexual assault. I think our group agrees that based on how big Uber is as a corporation, that $5 million isn't very significant. Uber in the last 3 months of 2016 lost over $991 million. Uber's net global losses to date are $1.2 billion. And as the graphic on the right shows, Uber's definitely lost market share between Lyft. In June 15th, 2015, their market share was around 90%, and in June 5th, 2017, their market share is down to around 75%. Uber also lost a lot of money in the Chinese market, and they ended up getting bought out by a Chinese app that is very similar to Uber.
And once again, talking about the regions affected, they are now banned from London. London did not renew their contract with Uber this past year, and they had 4 major areas of concern. First was the company was not looking into criminal records or offenses of their employees in that area. And as a result, there were drivers sexually harassing clients. They weren't like asking for any medical certificates from their employees. They did not run background checks, and once again, just as in many cities, they were caught using the gray ball technology that allowed these drivers to go into areas where they were not supposed to be, and they would have normally got picked up by authorities, but they kind of flew over the wall because of that. So who has been affected by the company, or by these actions? Both the company and their clients. So as you can see from this graphic right here, Uber has struggled to retain their drivers, even though the downloading of the app has gone up 20%. The next one, the 30-day retention, I mean, it's just down 47%, so it's not even, people aren't even keeping the app for a month, or like not even working for a month for the company. They're just not worth their time. Customers are finding alternative means of transportation, whether that be Lyft, or they're going back to taxis, just going to pay the extra fare, or honestly just a lot of friends. Like I know, I read an article about a college student coming home, and she was going to her grandma's, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and her grandma just did not like Uber, did not want her granddaughter in Uber. So I mean, opposed to pre-scandal, I feel like the grandma would have been more open to letting her granddaughter take it, but afterwards, not so much. And I did find this interesting that millennials, primarily our generation, Generation Y, that are in college right now, are the only population that have not decreased in the usage of the app. And that's kind of ironic because our whole generation's thing is like social consciousness and like thinking about what others would think. It seemed to work for us, so continuing on. So the financial status of the company. As you can see, in 2016, they had $2.8 billion in net losses. And they did sell China to that company as Logan was talking about. So with the Chinese branch of Uber, it was about $3 billion in losses. Net revenue was $6.5 billion, and gross bookings were about $20 billion. But each year since 2009, Uber has continued to lose money, and a lot of investors and people have compared them to kind of like the early stages of Amazon, which when Amazon was a young company, they really were like hemorrhaging through money. They were not putting up numbers at the end of each year, but their priority was to expand and grow and get Amazon out there. They had their warehouses in different locations to speed up shipping and so on and so on. But we kind of don't really see that with Uber. So looking forward, they're kind of pointing towards the new CEO, Dara, to kind of set the tone on which direction they're going to go and expand. And in 2017, the company was valued at $69 billion, and there was a group of investors primarily led by SoftBank, which is a Chinese banking company, and they have been trying to acquire a portion of the company at a discount, considering what the company is going through right now. And as a result, there are two parts to this deal. And so at the start of the year, like I said, Uber was valued at $70 billion. But after these scandals have arose, these investors valued the company at $48 billion. So they're trying to purchase each share for $32.96. And that's 30% less of what Uber valued themselves at. So that kind of was like a rude awakening for Uber. They were expecting a lot more. And then, so if this deal goes through, Uber is going to receive $10 billion in investments. And the first part of the deal involves SoftBank purchasing $1 billion worth of shares based on the $69 billion valuation. And then the second part of the deal, depending on whether that first part goes through, allows the investors to buy stock at their $48 billion valuation. So as long as they're proposing it so as SoftBank pays their valuation, Uber can kind of give back and give them a discount for the other investors that want to get involved. And this, I don't want to call it an acquisition yet, but it gives an opportunity to former investors who are kind of like now seeing all these scandals come out. It gives them an opportunity to kind of get out of this mess if they aren't very comfortable of the direction of the company. And then you can see we have the 2016 numbers for the company. But continuing on, what do we think?
So basically, our team agreed that changing their CEO was very important. Having just a better representative of your company is going to do a lot for Uber. However, they are still diseased with so many scandals. They're facing a lawsuit against Google self-driving car sector, and they're going to probably get lawsuits both on federal and state level for the hackings that happened over a year ago. However, we think it definitely helps that the new CEO has really taken a stance on taking accountability and using their scandals as teachable moments. And we think that's really important for Uber, and that in the long run it's probably what's going to save them.
And then, really quick, just this graphic is, from our research that we've done, I thought it was very accurate of how the Travis Kalanick era of Uber went. I just kind of found that he was a little bit narcissistic and kind of would offer hey, what do you think? And then just kind of crush that with, this is what I think.
Yeah, he was very competitive. He wasn't under his supervision. He didn't really encourage working together like Logan mentioned they now do, which you can see in their company values. So I think it's important, definitely, that the CEO change.
Great, let's take questions. Who wants to start?
Now we are open for questions.
How has the dynamic of the company changed with the new CEO?
Again, just the way he's going to battle the reputation and the scandals. He's vulnerable, taking accountability, and he has extensive work with Expedia, and they were very successful under his supervision. So I think once they start clearing up the lawsuits, and given within a year time span, I think that Uber is going to be sitting in a very different position than they are now, a better one for them.
Great, next question. Lauren.
Do you guys foresee more cities banning Uber now? Do you foresee more cities banning Uber now?
I can take that one. As of right now, there's no more Uber in Asia, there's no Uber in London. London has no interest in renewing their contract with Uber. But with the emergence of this new CEO, a lot of people have kind of turned their heads because of what he had done with Expedia. He came into the company, and for you guys who don't know, Expedia is kind of like a search, I guess you can call it a search engine for finding your ticket or your hotel. It combines a bunch of different websites together. And he did that at a time when that wasn't even a thought. So he does have that unique kind of manage, I can bring your company up. So people are anticipating the company to take steps forward. And there have been reports that once the company starts to improve, I know Paris was interested in renewing their contract, but they currently did not. So, I mean, there have been, other than Paris, I haven't heard anything. But cities are starting to, regain their interest.
Our last question. Ellie?
So what do you guys think is the media's perception of Uber kind of after this whole thing?
I can say something. I think the media's perception at first when the scandal came out was very negative. I think most media outlets thought that this would totally ruin Uber. But I think Uber's shown that they can rebound from this based on their great hire with their new CEO. So I think media's coverage of it is probably still negative at the moment, but I think it will continue to change and turn positive when new cities buy in and the whole workplace culture definitely improves.
The media has also realized that the new CEO is a big change for Uber, that he's definitely a more appropriate fit too. That helps.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, team. So as they're finishing, let's start with some good feedback for Logan, Michael, and Nicole. Who wants to start? Kaylee.
I really liked how you guys did the before and after the CEO thing. It really shows how it changed, putting them side by side.
Who else? Sarah.
I really like how you guys use so many graphs, like that strengthens your argument, that show the actual reasoning behind it.
Yeah, really evidence-based. Taylor?
And kind of going along with that, you guys use like the good stats, like there was so many stats for every, like, basically on every side you have stats, which really helps us understand.
Lauren?
So to start, I just want to say I appreciate you guys dressing up. Made it feel more professional, and I think you guys had a lot of great composure, and you were very terse.
Other good comments? Kristen?
I like how you kind of like have the presentation from all ends, like, I forget who had just said it, but you really did have statistics to represent every single one of the different parts of the presentation. You had the 180 days of change, which was something that I hadn't even heard about before, so that was really cool. Had a lot of research on every end.
I also liked how you kind of weaved in your narrative as you were going. So when you got to the end of the presentation, it was natural that you ended up where you did. So I like those little, you kind of give us a little glimmer of what you were thinking along the way. So it's a good blend of using that evidence-based plus opinion to have your argument. Great, well, we thank you again. Our next team, Chandler, Ellie, Dean, and Stephen. I'll let you guys get set up. Finish up your feedback forms, and then the next team's feedback forms on the opposite side.